One verse it gives is taking 3 listen to.
Use maqala, is it your maqala?
Yeah. It's fine.
What is it? Stuff work or? The right stuff? بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه الطاهرين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Since the time I left you promoted to the final year also? Normally they go from there to the second year, third year, then they come here. They say, mashallah, the first year is yours. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. Is everybody okay, inshallah? MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair. Jazakumullah khair. Otherwise, everybody's okay? MashaAllah. So we only have a few minutes, inshallah. So we'll try and cover as much ground as possible we can with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My apologies from the outset, I'm not experiencing the best of health. But coming to class is a therapy for us. So, that's why I'm here. So excuse every now and then my intermittent coughing. But inshallah we'll continue with Surah Al-Zalzalah. Inshallah. Or rather we'll start with Surah Al-Zalzalah. So in terms of our methodology, alhamdulillah, we have a fairly simple and straightforward methodology in terms of our dealing with the surah. The first approach we have would be what? Now, we look at the concept and the term surah. We look at the concept and term surah. And we know that the word surah in the Arabic language refers to a wall. And then you have two words for wall in Arabic. The one is jidaru, which is a low wall, and the other word is surah, which is a high wall. And the reason why a surah is called a surah is because it is high and lofty meanings. Now, and based on that, now we can appreciate and understand the words of our elders. For example, like Shaykh Salih al-Abadi used to say there's nothing as a small surah, right? Because it's a contradiction. Surah means high and lofty. In terms of the number of verses, it may be one shorter than the other one, but in terms of loftiness, in terms of meaning, it is exactly the same. So that's the first approach, alhamdulillah. What do we discuss secondly? Very importantly, when we look at a given chapter in Quran, a surah, we ask ourselves, is it Makki or is it Madani? Again, a very simple distinction. Makki would be before the Hijrah, and Madani would be post or after the Hijrah. It doesn't refer to a location per se. It was revealed in Medina, it was revealed in Mecca, because many verses were revealed while the Prophet ﷺ was traveling. So it may have been in and around Medina, in the Arabian Peninsula in general, but not necessarily in Mecca or Medina. So it's more like a time frame as opposed to a geographical space. Right? Wallahu a'lam. Okay. So Surah Al-Zalzalah, in terms of your copies, what does it say? Is it Makki or Madani? Madani. So that would be very interesting because we ask these questions for a reason. When you say Makki and Madani, the fact that it's Makki, it's telling of the content. In other words, even before you look at the verse or the chapter, it's going to tell you about the content. And when you say Madani, it's going to tell you about the content. Not, it doesn't mean exclusively, but it's going to give you an idea. So the Makki verses generally, what does it talk about? It talks about Iman. Iman basically means the fundamentals of your belief. In other words, belief in Allah, belief in belief in Allah, belief in the angels, and then belief in the books, belief in the messengers, believe in the final day, and believe in decree. Good and bad comes from Allah SWT. That's going to be the basic content. It doesn't mean that that's not going to be discussed in Madani Surah, but by and large it's going to be the content of the Makki Surah. Now when you look at Surah Al-Zalzalah, the word Zalzalah means the quake. It talks about the final quake. It talks about the year after. So you get the idea that perhaps this is a Makki Surah because it deals with the fundamentals of belief. Wallahu a'lam. Right? Not to say that Madani Surah don't engage in this particular issue. I'm trying to, what does your text say? It's Madani. It doesn't say. It doesn't say. No. So let's leave that for homework. To be honest, that question eluded me, Makki, Madani. So check up if it's Makki or Madani, inshallah, we'll take it from there. The third thing we discussed would be what? Sorry? So we looked at, what did we look at? The term Surah. We looked at whether it's Makki or Madani. The third thing we look at, not necessarily in terms of the order, but what is it? What do we look at? The name of the surah. And so we said sometimes a surah only has one name, and sometimes it has multiple names. Tamam? And then what happens is, when there are multiple names, we find that sometimes, like for example, here we have Surah Al-Zalzalah. That's the one name, most famous name. And then also sometimes the name of the surah is the very first verse of the surah. So they will say Surah Idha Zulzilatil Ardu Zilzalaha. So those are the two names that we can look at for now. Because in certain narrations, this surah is referred to as Surah Idha Zulzilatil Ardu Zilzalaha. And in other narrations, the surah is referred to as Surah Zalzalah. And the third place, or rather the first place where we're going to look for the name of the surah would be in the Mus'haf. The Mus'haf that is written by the companions of the Prophet and passed on down to us from generation to generation. The surah would have a name. So when we look there, sometimes we find only one name. Sometimes we find that different copies have different names of the surah. So we'd find written there Surah 2 as Zalzala. Are you okay with that? Then before we go into the surah, the next issue we discuss would be the virtue of the surah. The virtue of the surah. Now, Surah Idha Zulzila is always unique to me because of the virtue of the surah, and I'm going to certain narrations, right? So I'm going to quote to you one of the narrations of Surah Idha Zulzila, and then now from this, Surah Zalzala is going to stand out for you. This is a narration. Okay, if you compare other small chapters, again, seemingly small chapters in terms of the amount of verses, but in terms of the reward, it's great. What comes to mind? Surah Al-Ikhlas. So in terms of Surah Al-Ikhlas, in terms of reward, what does it equate to? A third of the Quran. So in other words, if it's a third and 3/3 make a whole, so if you read Surah Al-Ikhlas thrice, and you get the reward of reading the whole Quran, isn't it? Now, it's tamam. So Surah Al-Ikhlas would be, of those great surah in that particular regard. What other surah would they be? Surah Qul Ya Ayyuhal Kafirun. Again, you would say a third of the Quran, or some would say a quarter of the Quran. Tamam? According to this narration, the narration reads as follows. It is said that Qala Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and this narration is reported on the authority of Anas ibn Malik. Anas ibn Malik, one of the close companions of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and we know him famously to be Khadim Rasulillah, the aid of the Prophet. He was, aid means what? Assistant. So you'd find that he would narrate many narrations in terms of the both the public and the personal life of the Prophet. So you mustn't be surprised when you find Anas ibn Malik narrating certain narrations that are very personal nature, something you would expect his wives to narrate, because it's not of his public life but of his private life. Anas, would mention such narrations. And Anas had a very close relationship to the Prophet. When the Prophet came to Medina for the first time, and then his mom asked me any correction. Asked me any correction by the name of Sulaim. She remind me, I'll verify. So when the Prophet came to Medina, and she was indigent, she was poor. People came and gave gifts to the Prophet. She didn't have any gifts, but she brought a son along, Anas ibn Malik. And she said, "Oh Prophet, I don't have any other gift, but I'm gifting my son in your service." So that's how Anas ibn Malik came to be the aid of the Prophet ﷺ. Anas ibn Malik, and he obviously had a great love for the Prophet ﷺ. What did he say? He said, the day the Prophet ﷺ عندما جاء إلى المدينة أضاء المدينة. When the Prophet came to Medina, then Medina lit up. In other words, when the Prophet came to Medina, Medina didn't remain Medina, it became Medina al-Munawwara, the illuminated city. And he said the day the Prophet ﷺ passed away, for us as those staying in Medina, then what did he say? أظلم المدينة. Then Medina, the light came, and when the light went, then Medina from our perspective was, the light was extinguished, darkness. He said Medina. So he loved the Prophet ﷺ greatly. In this particular narration, he says from the Prophet ﷺ, إذا زلزل عدلت بنصف القرآن. He says that the recitation of إذا زلزل, it equals to half of the Quran. The recitation of إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها is equal to half of the Quran. من قرأ إذا زلزل عدلت له بنصف القرآن. Whoever reads إذا زلزل, it will equate for him half of the Quran. So according to this narration, then I don't know if there's another narration. Allah, very well might be. It talks about a quarter, yes, and a third. But according to this narration, إذا زلزل is equates to half of the Quran. Half of the Quran. Allahu A'lam. Maybe it's because it talks about your existence. You have a worldly existence and other worldly existence. So you're half between this world and the next world. And what does إذا زلزل talk about? It talks about the end of this half of your existence, and it talks about the other half, which is your existence in the year after. Wallahu A'lam. There may be other meanings to it, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. So that is the names that have been given to, and the virtue that has been given to Surah إذا زلزل. There's a few other names, but it's very close. So what do we have? Surah إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها, Surah Al-Zalzalah, and then another form of mentioning the word Zalzalah would be what do you call it now? إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها, Surah Al-Zilzal, as opposed to Zalzalah, to use the word Zilzal. But as you can clearly notice, it basically amounts to the same thing, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Tamam. So this particular surah again, it talks about a phenomenon that is going to come to fore. What do they talk about? Towards the end of time, and these are realities which we can in today's time understand both in terms of our religion, and we can understand scientifically what's going to happen. We talk about the final, what do they say, Armageddon, the final battle between the believers and the non-believers, and then that's going to be followed by the, I don't know if this is the right term, you can use Google. So they talk about, you must help me also with my pronunciation, is apocalyptic, what's that called? Okay, now what does that mean? No, I don't pronounce it properly, you pronounce it properly, you're supposed to know what it means. Now, if you check Mufti Google, what does he say? What? Sorry, Malay. But now you're guessing. Now you can't guess. You're guessing happened before Mizan.
Revelation is unveiling or unfolding things that previously known to the
The end of time, basically. What meanings do you get? The destruction of the world. So Surah إذا زلزل, that English term, that apocalyptic and all of those stuff. In other words, that talks about the end of the world. Do we believe in that word? Do we believe in that phenomenon? We believe in that phenomenon. We believe that this is a temporary world. The world is going to come to an end. And for us, you have a genre of movies about it, about end of the world. But that also to end of the world and new beginning and all of those type of things. We believe the world as we know it is going to come to an end. And then what's going to happen is we're going to transition from this world into the year after. And it's going to be our permanent existence. So you have chapters in the Quran that talks about, that word, apocalyptic, and it tells you certainly what's going to happen. And how is it all going to start? The world as we know it is going to cease to exist. And how is it going to start? Allah talks about the Zalzalah. Surah إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا. Surah Al-Zalzalah. Allah is going to talk about that. Right? And then you have the English term, that sort of relates to the end of the world. What do you say, Dr. Sir?
The word
yes.
comes from the Greek word which means revelation.
Which means revelation. So how do you know about the end of the world? Only through revelation. So that helps us here. But how do they pronounce the word? Apocalypse. Apocalypse. Yeah, so that phenomenon. Now the reason why it's tied into revelation is because revelation informs you about that. You and I can't figure it out ourselves. Revelation has informed us about the unseen. So there you have it. Now, in terms of the way, what do they call that now? When you study a word and you study the background of the word. Etymology of the word. So this whole apocalyptic phenomenon, where do we get it from? Revelation. So therefore they use that because the source of that apocalyptic information came from revelation. Therefore they call those phenomenon, they give the same term to that phenomenon. It's unique if you look at the etymology of that particular word. So Allah SWT informs us about that. And what does Allah say? Allah starts off this particular verse by saying إِذَا. Now maybe if we just stop for a moment there by the word إِذَا. Right? Now what does the word إِذَا mean? When. Okay? And now in terms of your Arabic knowledge, what does when mean? I mean, from a syntax point of view. You know what syntax means? You have a sentence, and the sentence is made up of certain words. So when you make up a sentence of different words, you have different types of sentences. Right? So now إِذَا means when. So now إِذَا is conditional, isn't it? When class is finished, I would like to meet you. So it's two sentences actually. Okay? But so إِذَا is adatu shart. It is an instrument of conditioning because you have two conditional sentences now. Okay? But in the Arabic language, you also have another word which gives you the same meaning in terms of conditioning one thing to another thing. And that is in. You heard about in shartiyya. Okay, if you haven't heard about it now, you will hear about it today. So in is in shartiyya. إِذَا is also إِذَا shart. But what's the difference between if and when? When is more likely to happen. So you tell me, for example, if you visit me, I'll give you tea. So in other words, if it's very unlikely that you're coming to visit me, but if you visit me, I'll give you tea. But now you tell me, when you visit me, then I'll give you tea. In other words, almost like inevitable. Okay, you're going to come, it's just a matter of when you're going to come, and then what's going to happen, I'm going to give you tea. So now when Allah SWT talks about now this whole apocalyptic event, does Allah say if it's going to happen or when it's going to happen? When it's going to happen. So the whole surah starts off with a great degree of definiteness. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. So we don't know when. And if you want to maybe use contemporary terms and talk about and you want to talk about, but we just finish at least the first word. So now what happens is, if you talk about we use it now, best kept secret, so to say. But when Allah talks about the hour, Allah says, أَكَادُ أُخْفِيهَا. According to one explanation, it is because this final, when the world will cease to exist, that's going to lead into the final day. But when is this going to happen? We shouldn't preoccupy ourselves in terms of when it's going to happen. Only Allah knows. That's why the Prophet ﷺ was asked the question, Mata Sa'a, when is the final day? Then the Prophet ﷺ says, لَيْسَ الْمَسْئُولُ أَعْلَمُ مِنَ السَّائِلِ. Jibreel alayhi salam asked him this question, and the Prophet says the one who's being asked is not more knowledgeable than the person asking. So Jibreel doesn't know. He's asking the Prophet ﷺ, whose knowledge is more than the knowledge of. So you don't know, neither do I know. Allah says, "Akad ukhfiha." If I was able to conceal even from myself according to him, I would have. In other words, nobody knows when the hour is going to happen. They asked the Prophet ﷺ in another narration, "Mata sa'a?" When is the hour? Ma a'adatta laha? What did you prepare for the final hour? Don't preoccupy yourself with when it's going to happen. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. What did you prepare for that particular final hour? So here, this is not like a abstract phenomenon, or what we refer today as, like a fairy tale. It's not a ustura fairy tale. No, this is a reality. Allah SWT is telling us either. He's actually telling us it's definite. It's just a matter of time before its occurrence. Either when. And the other thing about when is something's going to happen. The Arabs have a saying. They say that kullu ma huwa atin fahuwa qareeb. Anything that is going to come, it is close. Your life experience tells you that. Anything that's going to come is close. Maybe it may appear to be very far off now, but when you look back, it's like walk through one door and came out another door. Anything that is inevitable is going to come, it's close. So no matter how far off it appears it's going to be the final day, or your death, or whatever the case may be, for us it's very far away, but if it's coming, it's close. So this about the final hour, we must consider it close. When the Prophet ﷺ, when the verse was revealed, اقتربت الساعة وانشق القمر, the Prophet stood up in expectation that the hour is going to occur right now. فلا تستعجل, don't hasten. We are on the other extreme. It's like so far off, it's like so remote. It's like, is it even going to happen? Here Allah SWT gives us an indication in the word إِذَا only, not if the earth quakes its final quake. Allah says when the earth will quake its final quake. May Allah grant us the ability to prepare for that day. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Let's start.